Hot and Hazy update in Grounded added some new armor, and also changed many of the old armor. The biggest change was adding an armor type for each set, and most of the individual armor pieces. The 3 types of armor are light, medium, and heavy. Light armor has a shorter delay before you begin regenerating stamina, medium is the same as before the Hot and Hazy update, and heavy has a longer delay before you begin regenerating stamina. In addition to this change, several pieces of armor had their defense increased, piece effects changed, and or their set bonus changed. In this video, I'll be letting you know what changed with every piece of armor. Before we begin, make sure to hit the subscribe button below and turn on notifications so you never miss any future Grounded videos. Let's get started. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through each of the armor sets first, and then we're going to go back and look at the individual pieces. So first up is going to be the Antlion set, and I do have this equipped right now. So the Antlion set has the wide brim hat, the poncho, and the spurs. And the piece bonuses for each one of these is sizzle protection. You're going to notice it has light armor. It has 3.5 defense. This is new armor. It was not in the game prior to the Hot and Hazy update. So it's got light armor. That means you're going to get stamina regeneration with a less delay. So you're going to get stamina regenerating quicker. Sizzle protection is going to slow the rate at which you sizzle in the sandbox. So if you're in the sandbox and you're not in the shade, you're going to have a sizzle meter. It's going to start depleting. And when it gets down to 0, you're going to start taking damage. So this will reduce that and let you stay in the sun longer without having to get to the shade. The set bonus is Quick Draw, which is faster bow reload while in combat. So it's going to be best to use the Antlion Armor in combination with the Insect Bow or Crow Crossbow, and of course anytime you're in the sandbox to prevent that sizzle damage from occurring quickly. The second set we're going to look at is the Crusty Roly Poly set. It's got a helmet, breastplate, and leg plates. It is heavy armor, which means you're going to get your stamina. There's going to be a higher delay in regenerating your stamina. It does have the highest defense in the game. It currently has 4 defense. That's higher than any other armor in the game. And the piece effects are block stun. Block stun means blocking builds stun gauge on enemies. So every time you block, you're going to increase the stun gauge on your enemies. There's been a lot of shift to focus on stun in the game. Honestly, it's still, in my opinion, you're probably going to end up killing the insects before you end up stunning a lot of them. So this would help with stunning them quicker. And then the set bonus is going to be Invincible Shielding. That has a chance to repair currently equipped shield on block. That would mean if you have a shield in your hand, whenever you block, there's a chance to repair it. So theoretically, you could never have to repair your shield if you block a lot. And this is going to be best used with high stun weapons and or a shield. So if you're using a shield, you might want to use the Salt Morningstar or the Insect Hammer because they both have a high stun capability. If you're not using a shield, you'll want to use the Mint Mace or the Club of the Mother Demon because they also have a high stun capability, but they're two-handed weapons. And of course, you get this from Roly Polies, which you'll find near the trash heap, outside the sandbox, under the picnic table, in the grassy green areas. Third up on our list is going to be the Ladybug Armor. This was, of course, the best armor in the game, hands down, before the Hot and Hazy update. It has a faceplate, chestplate, and shin guards. It is heavy armor, and it has 3.5 defense, so it has the second highest defense in the game, along with the Antlion Armor. And the piece effects are going to be blocking strength. This means increase the amount of damage that can be blocked before being stunned. This is the same as it was before the Hot and Hazy update, so nothing's changed with that. It does have the same set bonus of Scarlet Embrace. However, Scarlet Embrace has been changed. So it was passive HP regeneration. That means you would just generate health no matter what. Now you have to block for a chance to regenerate HP. So this Scarlet Embrace has been nerfed heavily. I have seen some people saying that Ladybug Armor is just not that great anymore. In my opinion, it is still the best general use armor in the game, especially early on. Before you get the Ladybug Armor, you're going to get one shot on medium mode and of course on low mode, but in my new playthroughs on medium mode, before I got the Acorn Armor, before I got the Ladybug Armor, I was getting one shot by ladybugs, by I'm pretty sure a beetle and a stink bug could possibly one shot you. For sure, the wolf spider is going to probably one shot you, and then maybe even the orb weaver. So you're going to want to get Ladybug Armor as fast as possible because it's going to make the early game much easier. Then, of course, later on, if you want to swap out and start using the other new armors, the Roly Poly Armor or the Antlion Armor, in the situations that make sense for them, that would make sense to me. I still really like the Ladybug Armor. Even though it was nerfed a little bit, I still think it's the best general use armor in the game, so you're going to want to get it as soon as possible. The B Armor is our next set, and the B Armor is the first medium armor we looked at, so that means the delay before regenerating stamina is going to be the same as before the Hot and Hazy update, so you wouldn't notice any difference. It has they have piece bonuses of bow stun. That's arrows build stun gauge on creatures. It was sprint distance, which reduced the stamina drain when sprinting. And what ended up happening was they swapped Pollen Shot and Bow Stun. So Pollen Shot used to be the arrows build stun gauge. Now the piece bonuses are actually that. And Pollen Shot is now arrows have a chance to cripple or slow enemies. So basically, they can cripple the enemy or slow them. This is, of course, best with ranged weapons. I don't think there's been any change to this. Honestly, it's actually been buffed because the defense was 2.5. It is now 3, so it's actually stronger than it was before. You're going to want to use this for ranged weapons. I'm going to do some testing later on with testing out the B armor against the Antlion armor just to see which one's the best ranged armor. In either case, they're both going to be best with using ranged weapons. This one's going to allow you to stun your enemies and also to slow them down. So you should be able to take care of most of the enemies before they can even get to you. Next up, we probably have the armor that's had the most controversial change to it, and that's the Spider Armor. Spider Armor is classified as light. It has had its defense increased from 1.5 up to 2.5, so it's going to give you more defense now. Being light armor, it's going to let you regenerate. It's going to have a lower delay before you regenerate your stamina, so it's going to be good if you're not good at managing your stamina, like me. And then the biggest change was, you're going to see here the piece effects are going to be attack stamina. This used to be the quickness, so prior to the Hot and Hazy update, this armor gave you increased movement speed, which meant you could run around the yard extremely fast. It now gives you attack stamina reduction. So in addition to being light, it's also light armor, which means you're going to get quicker regen. You're also going to be using less stamina. So this is going to be great if you're not good with managing your stamina like me. Hunter's Prowess increases stamina regeneration. That did not change, so that's the same. So this is a really good armor to use pretty much with any weapon. If you're not good with managing your stamina, like using the heavy weapons like the clubs and the maces, this would be great for you. If you just want to get tons of attacks with fast swinging weapons, this is going to be great for you. The Spider Armor is just a great general overall use armor. And like I said, if you're really bad at managing your stamina, it's got a decent amount of defense, and it's going to be great for just not running out of stamina. Moving on to the Koi Scale Armor. Koi Scale Armor is classified as light armor, and it has its defense increased from 1.5 to 2.5. So just like the Spider Armor, it did have its defense increased pretty significantly, so you're going to get more defense out of it. It has perfect block. That increases the chance to stun an enemy when performing a perfect block. That's the piece effect. That did not change. And then it also has a set bonus of Dazzling Riposte, which increases damage done after a perfect block. That did not change either. So this armor did not change other than having it classified as light and having its defense buffed. The piece effects and the set bonus are exactly the same. This armor is going to be absolutely best if you are really good at perfect blocking. I've been focusing a lot lately on when I'm playing on trying to perfect block as much as possible. If you can get down perfect blocks, you're not going to take damage. This armor is going to be fantastic because you're just going to do more damage. You're going to end up killing your enemies much faster. However, if you're not good at perfect blocking, you're going to end up taking more damage. So you want to make sure you use this when you've perfected the perfect blocking. And of course, if you're not that great at perfect blocking, you could use the Parry Master mutation that just got added, because that's going to make perfect blocking a little bit better and a little bit easier for you. The third and final new set of armor is the Black Ant Armor. It's got a helmet, chest plate, and leg plates. It is heavy armor, and it has a defense of 3.5, so it's got the same defense as the Antlion Armor and the Ladybug Armor. And what this does, it has a piece effect of stun. All attacks build an extra stun gauge on creatures. Like I said, they tried, I think a lot of this update was focusing on stun. Stun is still underwhelming. It was really underwhelming before, but it's still a little bit underwhelming in my opinion. But using these new armors is definitely going to help you with that. And it's got a set bonus of Pincushion. This reflects a portion of damage back at the attacker. So, in my opinion, this armor is going to be best with high stun weapons, because you're going to be able to stun the enemies, the creatures you're facing, much faster. And also, because it reflects damage, if you're not that great with blocking, there's a chance you're going to end up reflecting damage back to it. So that's to whoever's attacking you, whether it's a creature or a player if you're doing PvP. So overall, that'd probably be the best time to use this armor. Now we got one of the core looking armors in my opinion. That would be the Acorn Armor. I've always wondered why it has one eye hole, but you don't lose half your vision. I kind of think it would be interesting if they made it where you could only see half the screen, although that might make the armor probably unusable. Anyway, the Acorn Armor, in my opinion, is the armor you're going to want to try to get really quickly before you get the Ladybug Armor, because it's going to give you 1.5 defense, which is going to be better than the other armors you're going to get early on. It has a piece bonus of max health, which gives you extra health, and it has Uncrackable as a set bonus, which gives you increased stun resistance, and it is a heavy armor. So this is the best early game armor, and if you're not good at blocking, you're going to want to get this, like I said, as quickly as possible. As soon as you go over to the Oak Tree Lab after you fix the Mysterious Machine and you go check out Burgle, grab as many acorns as you can so you can come back and craft yourself some Acorn Armor. It's going to make your life a lot easier. Without this, you're going to take a lot of damage with the other armors we're going to cover in just a second. So like I said, it's the best early game armor until you get yourself either Spider Armor or Ladybug Armor. Next up, we have the Red Ant Armor. It is light armor, and it had its defense doubled from 0.5 up to 1, so it does give you a little more defense. I'm glad to see that, because this thing, basically, if you were wearing it, you were just going to get destroyed by anything that attacked you that was bigger than an ant. Even a soldier ant would probably do heavy damage to you. It's got a helmet, arm guards, and knee guards. None of the armor, the piece set and the set bonus did not change, but hauling strength increased the amount of grass planks and weed stems that can be carried at once. So for each piece of this you're wearing, you can carry 1 extra, so you can carry up to 8. If you drink the workers comp smoothie, you can carry up to 10. By default, you can carry 5. This will give you up to 8, plus the workers comp can give you up to 10. And then the human ant bonus, red soldier ants will ignore you unless you attack or steal an egg, and red worker ants will no longer become curious and will ignore you. This is best for exploring the red ant hills and for transporting grass planks and weed stems for building. So if you love building, you're going to want to try to use this. Using this, you can use this, carry up to 8 pieces or 10 if you drink the smoothie, and you can fill an entire pallet up of either weed stems or grass planks and carry those. So you can carry a ton of stuff by using that method. And then of course, if you want to go in the ant hills to get ant eggs so you can make your brat burst and splat burst, you're just exploring them. You want to make sure you put this on so nothing attacks you. Now, of course, do be mindful, as soon as you grab that egg, they're going to all, if they see you grab the egg, they're going to start attacking you. So you're going to want to run out as fast as possible. If you're in there farming quartzite, or you're just grabbing, for example, in the westerly anthill, if you're just in there grabbing the rotten bee armor, the raw science, or the burgle chip that's in there, they're not going to attack you. They only attack you if you attack the red ant, the worker ants, the soldier ants, or if they see you stealing an egg. Next up, we have the Grub Armor. It's got goggles, vest, and leggings. This is another cool looking one. This is one of the earlier armors you're going to get. It is medium armor, and it had its defense increased by 50% from 1 up to 1.5, so you're going to get a little more defense. So it's decent to use early on. Max stamina is the piece effect. That did not change. That's going to increase your max stamina. Optimized defense is new. It used to be plump and juicy, which reduced your thirst rate. It reduced the thirst rate reduction, so you would get thirsty slower. Now it's optimized defense, which reduces the attack stamina. So again, it's going to be good for managing your stamina because it gives you max stamina, plus you use less attack stamina. This is the best early game armor if you're not great at managing your stamina, in my opinion. You can use it before you get the Acorn Armor, or in addition to the Acorn Armor. I prefer the Acorn Armor just because it gives me more health, and it also allows me to just survive a little bit longer. Our final set of full armor is the Clover Armor. This is probably going to be the first armor you get. It is classified as light armor. It has 0.5 defense, so it's just a little bit better than not having anything on. It has Fuller, which did not change. This reduces your hunger drain rate, has a moist set bonus of reduces your thirst drain rate. And of course, this is the best armor to craft immediately when starting a new game, because it's going to reduce the need for you to find food and drink, which if you're just starting out is going to be hard because you're probably not going to know where to get it. Even if you're experienced in the game, everybody knows the hardest part at the beginning is going to be just like finding food and drink, because your hunger and thirst are going to deplete, especially if you're playing on higher difficulties. On mild, it's probably not that bad, but on medium and low mode, you're going to need to find food and drink much more frequently. So it's going to be great for that. And of course, it's better than running around with nothing on. It's not going to protect you that well. It'll probably protect you against law mites and even the red worker ants. Beyond that, like larva and red soldier ants and anything above that, they're just going to do a lot of damage to you. So you're just going to use it early on until you get yourself one of the better armors we talked about. Moving on to the individual armor pieces. These are pieces of armor that do not have a full set currently, and you're going to have to use them in combination with other sets. So first up, we have the Marksman's Cap. This is light armor, and it has 2.5 defense. The defense did not change. Light armor is new for it. And of course, it has bow attack, so it's going to give increased damage with bows, and it's best with ranged weapons, obviously. So you're going to want to use it with you're most likely going to have the insect bow or the crow crossbow by the time you get this, because you need feathers anyway. So you're going to want to use it with one of those. Because it has light armor, it's going to be better on stamina. So if you're spamming those arrows, it's going to be good for that. And you might want to use it in combination with some of the other stamina bonuses. And of course, you're going to want to use it with some decent armor because it only has 2.5 defense. But if you're using ranged attacks, you're probably going to end up being at a safe distance anyway, so it might not matter that much. Next up is the Mask of the Mother Demon. Of course, you get this from defeating the Brood Mother. After you defeat her, you get the parts to craft this. And this is medium armor. It has 3.5 defense. That did not change. Poison coating is the piece effect. That also did not change. What that does is it adds attacks. All attacks apply a poison effect. So even if you're using a non-poison damaging weapon like the larva spike, you will still get poison damage with it. And then this is best used with non-poison dealing weapons against any non-spider enemies. So spiders are resistant to poison. And if you're using a poison weapon with it, it's not going to, it's not going to hurt because it's got decent armor. But if you're trying to apply the poison effect, you're probably going to use it with maybe the Club of the Mother Demon, the Mint Mace, or something along those lines, or the Antlion Greatsword. and you're going to be wanting to use it against insects that are not resistant to gas, so anything that's not a spider. The Eyepatch is one of the most unique. It's probably the most unique piece of armor because it's the only one that actually has a negative effect. So as you're going to see, it's light armor. It does not provide any defense, so it has no defense. What it does is it gives you plus attack. This increases your damage output. It has attack stamina, which reduces the stamina cost of attacking, but it also has negative damage resist. That means it increases the damage taken from attacks. So if you're taking damage from an insect or a robot, or if you're doing PvP and taking damage from another player, you are going to take more damage wearing this than without. And it's going to be best used early on, probably with ranged weapons from a safe distance. So if you're using a bow early on, like the Sprig Bow, this could be decent because it's going to give you extra attack, and most likely you're going to be either far away from the insect you're shooting, or you're going to be up on a rock or on a root or something like that, or a stick, so that you're not going to actually be able to be attacked. That's where you want to use it, so you can get that bonus from the attack, but without taking actual damage. And of course, you could always have it in one of your hot pouches and swap back and forth between it and another piece of armor in case you are in close quarters contact. So you could use it with melee, but I recommend most likely using it with ranged weapons. Next up is the Firefly headlamp. It is heavy armor and has 3.5 defense. It used to have 0 defense, so this got a massive buff. It's going to give you a lot of defense. It doesn't have any it has no piece effects. What it does is it gives you light, so it'll provide light in dark areas. So it's going to be best to use when exploring dark areas or at night. So if you go inside of the anthill lab, if you're down, even if you're underwater, you could technically use it if you don't need to be underwater very long, or if you drink a smoothie that gives you extra breath while you're underwater. It's going to be good to use at night if you're brave enough to explore at night. Of course, the wolf spiders are more likely to be out at night, but maybe you're hunting fireflies and you want to be out at night, so it's good for using at night or in dark areas. The bubble helmet is up next. This is going to give you 0 defense, and it's not even classified as an armor. I'm not sure if that's intentional or not. I'm kind of surprised. We're going to notice this, that the underwater gear gives you no defense at all, which is kind of interesting because the diving bell spiders on medium and low mode can do a lot of damage to you. What ends up happening is I usually use this in combination, and I won't use the fin flops, which we'll talk about in a second, because I'd rather have longer breath, but I want to have good armor. So if you're using this underwater, you're going to make sure you have a decent chest plate on, and probably, if you're actually in a fight, you're going to want to take the fin flops off and put on some other type of lower body armor, so you actually have a decent amount of damage or defense. And what it does is give you veteran diver, so it's going to greatly increase the amount of oxygen. I think the max oxygen you get is something like 170 seconds or 180 seconds, and you can also drink a smoothie on top of that, so maybe it's 200. But wearing this is going to bump you up significantly in the amount of time you can hold your breath. So it's going to be great for exploring the koi pond. So you're going to end up, we'll talk about the gill tubes in a second. Get the gill tubes first. I would recommend going down and immediately getting the resources to craft this. I think it requires koi scales. We can check real quick. It's going to require eelgrass jams, sunken bones. So as soon as you get the gill tubes, go down to the depths of the pond, grab yourself the sunken bones and craft yourself this, because it's going to let you freely explore the pond. It's going to be super useful if you're not familiar with where getting the sunken treasure chest key is, and just for gathering resources down there and gathering everything so you don't have to keep coming up for breath. Of course, you can use the bubbles that come out of the air tubes down there, but this is just going to make it a lot easier for you, especially if you're newer to the game. Mite Hat's next. This is medium armor. It had its defense increased 50%, so it went from 1 defense up to 1.5. It has a piece effect of hyper stamina, which did not change. That increases your stamina regeneration rate. In my opinion, it's best to use this early game if you aren't good at managing your stamina or for a little extra defense. I have personally never used this. I think like almost 200 or 300 hours in the game. I have never used the Mite Hat one time. I just don't. You always end up getting better armor before you get it. So if you do get it, if you like it, it does look kind of cool, honestly. Looks like a nice little winter hat. Maybe they could add winter to the game where there's cold areas where this would actually give you a warming effect. That'd be pretty cool. Maybe they could make a full set of Mite armor. But like I said, it's going to be decent for managing your stamina early on. So you could use it early on with the Aphid Slippers, which we'll talk about in just a second. The Gill Tube is going to be the last headpiece that's for underwater. This is going to be the one you end up getting first. It has no defense. It does not have an armor class. And what it does is it gives you junior diver. So it slightly increases the maximum oxygen you have. You're going to need this in order to swim down unless you're really good at getting to the air bubbles. But I would definitely recommend getting this as soon as you can when you want to explore the koi pond, or even if you just want to explore the flooded zones where there's water so you don't have to keep coming up for air. And it gives you junior diver, like I said, increases your stamina a little bit. The only time I think this is worth using is obviously if you're exploring the koi pond until you get the bubble helmet. And then if you want to use it in the flooded zones, you can use it there too. You don't really have to, but you could. The last individual headpiece is going to be the gas mask. It has no armor type as well. So along with the underwater stuff, it doesn't have any armor type for some reason. Not sure why. I don't know if that's an oversight or intentional. It has 0.5 defense. That's what it had before. It's going to give you gas guard as its piece effect right here. It provides immunity to gas from gas arrows, stink bugs, and the haze. And of course, it's best used when fighting stink bugs before you get the fresh defense mutation, and when exploring the haze before you turn off the haze. So if you're going into the haze for the first time, you want to make sure you use this. Because it has such little defense, I would recommend going in. Honestly, I waited till I got Ladybug Armor the last time I started the new game before I went into the haze. If you're brave, you could go in with something lighter, even the Spider Armor or the Acorn Armor. I got the Ladybug Armor just because the infected insects can do a ton of damage, especially the infected Ladybug, and the strange spores can do a decent amount of damage. The haze lab's pretty dangerous. I would recommend wearing this and using Ladybug Armor. And then, of course, once you turn off the haze, you're probably not going to really want to use this. It's not really useful at that point, unless maybe in the future they're going to have more places where you have to use it. But once you turn off the haze, and once you have the fresh defense, which gives you protection against the stink bugs, and then, of course, the bombardier beetle acid, it's not going to really be useful anymore. So there's no upper body individual armor pieces at this time, and we're going to move on to the lower body, and there's only 2 of those. First up is going to be Aphid Slippers. Aphid Slippers are light armor. They have no defense. They had 0 defense before, so there was no change there. They also have the quickness, which is what they had before. The quickness is movement speed increase. Of course, this is what was on the Spider Armor. So if you're looking to get a little bit more movement speed, you could use the Aphid Slippers. Just be mindful, of course, they have 0 defense, so you're going to make sure you use them with either better armor, or you need to make sure you just don't run into anything that's going to just wreck you, because if you have 0 defense, you're going to end up getting wiped out by pretty much any of the larger insects. So if you're just exploring, maybe you're moving around inside a large base, these are good for that. And last but not least is the Fynnflops. This is the Fynnflops Plus. So they start off with Fynnflops, and then you can buy the upgrade from Burgle for Fynnflops Plus. They have 0 defense. They have no armor type, just like the rest of the underwater gear. With Fynnflops Plus, you're going to get major swim speed. With the just regular Fynnflops, you just get plus swim speed. And what this does, it increases your swim speed, and then the major is going to increase it even more. So, of course, the only time this is really worth using is in the koi pond. In the flooded zones, they're not big enough to really need it. I guess you could use them when you're trying to get the 4-leaf clover to unlock the coup de grace level 1 mutation, but I really only use them in the koi pond. And like I said, when I'm in the caves in the koi pond, I usually swap these out for a different lower body armor, because the diving bell spiders can end up just doing a ton of damage if you're wearing this with a bubble helmet or gill tubes and you just have like a chest plate on. So I'd recommend using them if you're just trying to get around underwater. But if you're going into the enclosed areas where you might run into diving bell spiders, it's probably best to swap them out and put on some better lower armor gear. That's everything that changed with the armor in the Grounded Hot and Hazy update. Let me know which armor you plan on using the most, and what you think about the new armor system in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit the like button below, and consider subscribing for more videos just like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.